1, we are live. Welcome back to episode 7 of the Walk and Talk podcast. If you're new here, what I like to do is I take you guys with me when I go out for a walk, hoping that you'll join me, go on a walk yourself, or if you're watching this after the fact, do what you got to do, laundry, chores, whatever you got going on. Maybe you're driving to work. Either way, put me in your pocket, and I will dump knowledge into your brain while you're doing other things and being productive. So today's topic is going to be all about getting back on the wagon if you fall off, or if you haven't started, it's all about getting in the mindset. So to really tee things off, the big important thing is going to be self-talk. Hold on, I'm going to go in the woods because it's really nice today. Sometimes I lose signal in the woods. We'll see what happens. Beautiful day, by the way, here in Michigan. I mean, you really couldn't ask for anything better. Mid-July, down here in the Detroit area, it's really something else. So getting into the right mindset. Imagine your brain, it's like a factory. And the thoughts that you tell yourself, it's kind of like an assembly line. When the day is done, the thoughts that you have are going to determine your end product. So if you're constantly feeding yourself negative thoughts, you're going to end up having a negative product. If you feed yourself positive thoughts, then anything becomes possible. And I'm going to kind of explain this in two ways today. First, I'm just going to explain the benefits of self-talk, and then I'm going to actually give you guys strategies on how to actually do it, not just on a concept, but an actual action plan. So the big benefit is self-talk, right? The things that you tell yourself, it helps. Hold on, I'm going to switch arms. Here we go. So the big thing with self-talk, it really helps tee up all the things that you do in life, all the things that you're working on. And how it works is basically we all have an internal dialogue going on in our heads at all times. This internal dialogue, try to separate it or think of it separately from you as a person and you as a body. So inside my brain, there's a guy, his name is Andrew Fillion, but this body of mine is like a separate entity altogether. I'm basically just piloting it. And so all of my thoughts are like the input commands going into this body. It's going to determine whether I'm doing this or I'm doing that. What I want to do, what I want everybody to do, is get in the habit of only giving yourself compliments. Now, if you've never done this before, it's going to feel weird at first. You're going to feel like maybe you don't deserve it. You're going to feel like maybe you're not worthy of it. This is natural. At the beginning, all of us feel like we're unworthy of self-love, especially if you're coming from a place where maybe... let me know. Hey, what's going on, guys? Let me know if the signal is good. I'm in the woods. I'm walking back to the town right now. I'm hoping it gets less choppy as I get out, but I've lost signal twice in the past minute. Anyways, trying to get back on topic here. Self-talk. So, before that, YouTube censorship. When it comes to some of these topics, there's keywords that YouTube really doesn't like, even if I'm advocating for you not to do some of these things. So if I ever refer to things like substance abuse, I might have to throw in an abstract term. For example, I might say D, pause for a second, and then say rugs. Or instead of talking about drinks that you might drink, I might refer to them as potato water or green water. Some people like grape water, very popular with the women. In my past, I was a big potato water guy, but I digress. Speaking in riddles is kind of weird, but until the censorship rules on YouTube get better, it's kind of what you have to do. So just giving you that heads up front in case it comes up. Hello, Tiger VR. Happy to see you join us today. We're talking all about positive self-talk and mindfulness. So self-talk, the things that you tell yourself throughout the day are the things that become your reality. Ooh, we got Claire Media. Oh, happy birthday, Claire's grandma. Um, well, I can't take off my shirt. I'm trying to keep this thing family friendly, but I guess she could check out some of my bodybuilding videos. I'm definitely shirtless in those. Hey, what's going on, Bubba? Happy to have you join us here today. So, if there's anything in life that you want to do, let's say you're trying to start a diet, the first thing you've got to do is come up with an action plan. If you have positive self-talk, it becomes a lot easier to start these things. I know from experience, I used to actually be overweight myself, that you always have the idea that you're going to start the diet, but then you never do. It's because you never gave yourself the directive command internally to begin it. So what I like to do, and I do this every single day, I have a phrase that I pick out and I'll say it to myself 1,000 times in a day if I have to. And just to give you guys like a personal example from my own personal life, it always been my dream to do a bodybuilding show probably for like 10 years. But I never actually believed that I was that guy. I always thought like, oh, it'd be cool to do it someday, but I'm not the right person for it. And because of that, I never did it. One day, I finally turned a page and I said, you know what? I am a bodybuilder. And through that, I actually started to believe it. I would tell it to myself maybe 500, 1,000 times a day, as many times as it took. And trust me, at the beginning, I did feel like an imposter. But as I got closer to my very first show, which was about 3 years ago now, I started to actually believe it myself until the lie I was telling myself became true. All of this was a result of positive self-talk. So if you're having trouble, maybe you're trying to start a diet and it's not working out, or maybe you're trying to quit the D-rugs and that hasn't been working, or you can't give up the potato water, all you gotta do is in the first thing in the morning say, I'm the right guy for this. Or if you're a woman, I'm the right woman for this. I'm the one who's capable of quitting this thing. I'm going to succeed. And you say that to yourself over and over, you're going to steer yourself in that direction. It's going to eventually become true. Well, the opposite is also true. If you constantly tell yourself, well, I'm a failure, or I can't do this, or I can't do that, the way you speak to yourself, that's going to become your reality. So there's kind of a duality here. You want the one, you don't want the other. I never refer to myself in my internal monologue in a negative connotation ever. I won't even entertain the idea. You know, I myself, I have a past, right? I wasn't always healthy. I wasn't always a bodybuilder or running half marathons or, you know, being a fitness YouTuber. There was a time when I spent a lot of time doing the D-rugs, drinking the potato water, EDM music festivals, all that stuff. And I really had a lot of self-loathing at that time. So I really have a lot of experience in this area. And that positive self-talk, man, that's how I snap myself out of it. And that's how you get started with these changes. As far as like starting a diet goes, we're falling off the wagon. You gotta start over. It's always gonna be day one. So if you do have something like a vacation come up, or like you got a holiday or family in town, if you cheat on your diet, the only thing you can do is just reset the clock and start over. Ooh, we got time. Ooh, who we go? NYC says bleach blonde good built. I don't know if that's for me or not, but I'm definitely not bleach blonde, but I do like blondes, so I guess our heads are in the same area there. Shoot, I lost my train of thought. I'm gonna make this thing a little bit longer here. There we go. So yeah, the positive self-talk. It's all about getting in that right positive mindset, especially if you're trying to quit other things. I used to really be a heavy drinker, and I think all these things are kind of related, right? When it comes to like doing a diet or quitting the drinking or quitting like, you know, smoking, things like that. When you build up a reliance on something, a lot of the times you kind of associate that reliance as also being part of like your self-esteem or like who you are. So it's like, it's not just that you're addicted to the chemical, but you also associate it with your identity. For a long time, especially when I was in college, I actually thought that like the potato water consumption was part of who I was. It was part of my identity. And so for me to quit that, it was like I was losing a part of myself. But on the other side of that, you gain new parts of yourself. So like by association, if lifting weights and running also is part of my identity, well, now I've gained something that is adding longevity to my life. It's making me feel better all the time, and it doesn't have the negative effects. Like you're never going to have a hangover from going for a run. You might be sore the next day, but it's not the same. And so all these healthy habits, they compound and they build upon each other. And it all starts from that internal processing inside of your head. I have another system that I think really works well, especially for people that are just getting started with things. I call it the 17-21 rule. I actually posted a video on this, I believe on Saturday, so a couple days ago. Oh, that'd be quite literally yesterday. But the whole idea behind the 17-21 rule is it's built in fail-safes for failure. So, I've always been an authentic YouTuber. I don't like to lie to you guys, and I wouldn't want you guys lying to me either. I don't know anybody who's 100% on their diet ever, and I'm no exception to that. Even when I was doing my food challenges, if you go back and watch some of them from like the October to April timeframe, I do a week-long challenge, and sometimes I'd have to be like, hey, like on Thursday I didn't do the food challenge, or I had some cake at work, there was a birthday, things like that. So I like being an authentic YouTuber. I like telling you guys the truth. I follow what I like to call the 17-21 rule. And basically what that comes down to is if you have 3 meals a day, that's going to come out to 21 meals per week. You can have 17 meals on the plan, and then 4 of them can be off the plan. This works no matter what diet you're on. If you're on keto, you can have a little bit of carbs. If you're vegan, well, I know vegans get really particular with this stuff, but if you have a little bit of chicken, I ain't gonna tell on you. Honestly, it kind of would do you some good. If you're carnivore, you can have some blueberries, man. It ain't gonna kill you. But really, the idea is whatever diet you're on, whatever strategy you're following, 4 meals per week, you can go off plan and just enjoy life. And the reason this is so important is because a lot of us are social creatures. Maybe some of you guys are out there isolated, and that's a topic for another time, but most of us have friends and family that we're interacting with, doing things with. And a lot of times food's involved. Almost every time food is involved. So that's a big factor, right? You don't want to be neglecting your personal relationships over a diet, but you still want to be on the diet too. And that's where I came up with the 17-21 rule. Anytime that you're in private, like when you're by yourself, it's the perfect opportunity to stay on the plan, right? Like, I'll give you guys an example. In my own life, I have an office job. I go to work every day. I don't need to eat breakfast with other people. So basically every single breakfast, Monday through Friday, is exclusively on my own. So there's really no excuse for me not to have the same breakfast every single day. In my own personal life right now, I'm having 4 hard-boiled eggs every morning like clockwork. That's my breakfast. Then for lunch, it can be kind of the same deal, right? Like, even at work, you can sit down with other people and eat lunch, but a lot of the times you're eating your own food. People bring their own lunch. People do, different things. That's fine too. It's usually the dinner meals where people screw up or quit their diets altogether. If you're following the 17 to 21 rule, that means that you can have 4 dinners a week that are not part of the plan. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you can have the family dinner. You can have the pizza with friends on a Friday night or however you like it. And then one day during the midweek, maybe like on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, if you have a slice of pizza or something like that, it ain't going to kill you. It's all about making the long-term habits. It's all about that long-term sustainability. And I've always said this, an A+ diet will get you really shredded, but a B diet will just make it take longer. You still can get to the same end result. And does the time it took you to get there really matter? If you lose the weight in 6 months, awesome. If you lost the weight in 9 months, aren't you still at the end goal at the end of the day? That's the way I've always looked at it. And once you get to your ideal body, because there is an end point, you can't permanently progress all of the time. Once you get to your ideal, you just maintain it. The 17-21 rule is so perfect for that. It's like the most ideal maintenance ever because it allows you to fully enjoy your social life as long as you've got the discipline to maintain your healthy meals while you're alone by yourself. I mean, this is like almost like diet hacks. It's how I do it year round to stay lean and to stay healthy. And a lot of times this will also kind of feed into healthy lifestyles as well. So doing the same. I mean, you don't have to necessarily be walking the neighborhood, but you could be on the exercise bike, the elliptical. Maybe you're doing some gardening. Maybe you're doing, whatever. You could, everybody's got a different cardio they like doing. When you combine cardio and diet, everything is just going to click nicely. By the way, I'm on a pretty steep incline, so if I get out of breath over the next minute or two, that's why. I mean, I'm not in that good a shape, guys. Come on. So that's what I always recommend. If you fall off the wagon, if you fall off your diet, the best thing to do is to not beat yourself up over it. Do not get into the negative down talk spiral. It happens to everybody. It happens to me too. Like if I go out on a 5-day long vacation, the first day or two that I come back, at least not anymore, but I used to do this, I would beat myself up, be like, oh my gosh, I've ruined my diet. I went and did this thing for 5 days and now it's all over. You can't talk to yourself that way. You just have to take an honest assessment and be like, all right, we're resetting the clock. This is day 1. We're back on the plan and we can do this. You just have to keep telling yourself, I am the perfect person for this. I was built for this. I'm going to succeed. And when you get your goals really articulated, you can really niche down into your self-talk. I'll give you another example. I just ran a half marathon on the 4th of July, actually. And on this half marathon, it's been a lifelong goal of mine, or like at least since March when I started running. I do other fitness stuff too, so I've never been a big runner. But I told myself when I started running, like, okay, we're gonna take this all the way. We're gonna do a sub 2-hour half marathon. The whole time I was running, from the first mile to the 13th mile, I was telling myself, this is easy. This is nothing. Like, sorry, I'm on the hill, I'm a little out of breath. But it's like, man, I worried about all this for nothing because this is a breeze. Now, whether it was true or not didn't matter because I believed it. I ended up running that half marathon 1 hour, 58 minutes. Hit the goal. And now I'm training for a full marathon. And it's just as easy because I'm the perfect guy for it. Mental self-talk. That's how you do it. Doesn't matter what your goal is. You just tell yourself you're the perfect person for it. And don't worry about like ego and stuff like that. Like, there's a difference between being cocky and arrogant and being confident. Arrogant would be like telling other people like, oh, I'm the best. I'm better than you. I'm better than this person. Nobody can beat me. That's arrogant. But if you're having a one-on-one with yourself and no one else can hear your thoughts and no one else is, sharing that internal dialogue with you, you can give yourself all the compliments you need to get the job done. And that is a big thing I really believe in. In fact, I don't even compete with myself. I know a lot of people might think this is strange, but I'm not trying to beat who I was yesterday because I don't want future me. I don't want future me beating up on me right now. What I want when I turn 40, I want to be able to look back on who I am right now and say, thanks for believing in me. Thanks for always having my back. That's really how I see things. You are you, whether it was 10 years ago or right now or in the future, you should always have your own back, no matter what. This doesn't mean not to accept mistakes that you make. This doesn't mean to wash away whatever you do that is incorrect. But it does mean that when you do something that's incorrect, you don't let that become your defining quality. You've always got room to forgive yourself. You've always got room to improve. And if you don't forgive yourself, it's not going to happen. So for me to get into, fitness and bodybuilding, all this stuff, I had to forgive myself for being such a weekend warrior, going out and drinking all the time and doing the D-rugs and other things I probably don't want to get too depth with because sometimes my parents watch these, but there was a lot of self-loathing back then. I was living a hedonistic lifestyle. I know a lot of people can relate to that. I was chasing something, and it was no matter how much of it I got, I had to get more. Whatever X is in that equation, you can fill it in. It was probably true for me. But I don't beat myself up over these things because everything that's happened in my life has gotten to me to where I am right now. And where I am right now, there's no confusion. I know where I'm heading. I've got the game plan. All there's left to do is to execute on it. And I want this for you guys too. Because that's really the whole thing. I don't want to be the only healthy guy in the world. I want to have a society where I'm not just proud of myself, I want to have a society where I'm proud of the person standing to the left or right of me. I look at the society we're in right now, and we're also isolated, and it seems like everybody kind of hates each other. And there seems to be a complete lack of identity as a community. Some people might call that like a national identity, but I think we're kind of in an era where national borders don't quite matter anymore. But I would say more like a social identity or like a mimetic structure. Hold on, I'm trying not to get hit by this car. And I want to see people that love each other, that support each other, and that are proud of each other. And one of the ways you do that is you get healthy, When you have a healthy body and a healthy mindset, you no longer have the desire to beat up on other people or to be better than other people. One of the things I told myself when I first got into this is no matter how far I take my fitness goals, doing bodybuilding shows or running in marathons and stuff like that, I never want to use it as a way to put other people down. I don't want to, if I get hate on a video, I don't want to be the kind of guy that's post your marathon times, bro. That's not the kind of guy I want to be. I only want to put in that positive energy towards people. And the reality is when someone leaves comments like that, it's usually a lashing out, is almost like a cry for help, because it's a sign that their internal monologue is not well. Because otherwise, why would you leave a negative comment, or why would you get into somebody's, story or their post and be like, "Oh, your X, Y, or Z sucks." Why would a healthy mind even cross that bridge? They wouldn't. I don't ever leave negative comments, but I can see the mentality behind the people that do. I said it in the beginning of the video, I'll say it again. Your brain is like a factory or an assembly plant. And the thoughts that you're feeding your brain are like an assembly line. So that end product is going to be whatever you were putting on that assembly line all day. If it's constant negative thoughts, if it's constant negative energy, it's going to spill out into the rest of your life. It spills out into your relationships, how you talk to people, how you talk about yourself, and the actions you take. If you're at peace of mind and you have peace of heart, there's no reason to tear other people down. And there's no reason to tear down yourself either. So, really want to hammer that last point in really especially hard, because there's nobody who's going to be harder on you than yourself. I know that from experience. But there's also nobody who can have your back quite like yourself. I know that from experience. That's what I'm trying to do here, is spread that message. So whatever it is that you're trying to do, whether it's lose weight, maybe you fell off your diet, maybe you haven't started the diet, maybe you're trying to get off the D-rugs, maybe you're trying to get off the potato water, maybe you're trying to quit the Saint Nick, Any of these things you can accomplish through positive self-talk, with positive intonations on the words you use internally. I'll give you guys some really concrete examples. Ooh, that was a Porsche. Nice car. Instead of saying things like, "I need to quit because this is bad for me," you say something like, "I need to get healthier so I can run faster," or "I need to lose weight so I can fit my clothes better." You take the same idea, but instead of having it be like, "Oh, if I don't do this, something bad's gonna happen," you change the framing of the thought so that if you do something good happens. So it's not like, "I need to quit drinking or else my life's going to be over. I'm going to screw my life up." You say, "I'm going to quit drinking so I can get out of bed earlier in the morning and crush my day better. I need to quit drinking so I get up earlier. I do better at work. I get paid more." You take ooh, dude, love the haircut. Thank you. Yeah, sometimes with my hair, the sides, because my hair is kind of thick, when it's hot, like it just gets all over the place. And I get like the emo hair. Like, I'm not emo, but like when it's super windy, it'll fly up in my forehead. So I just completely buzzed off the sides on my ears so that basically, like, no matter what, it's never like in my eyes or in my face. And it's kind of sporty. If I ever wanted to go like a mullet, I just let it grow in the back and it's like already there. I go half and half on it because like mullets they're fun, but I don't know if you can be taken seriously in the office with it. But thank you. I appreciate you, Bailey. Dang, where I kind of have a little brain fart right now. Where was I going with all this? Oh yeah, examples of positive self-talk. I'll give you guys some more examples. Never use the word "I can't." Use the word "I'm going to." I can't run today. I'm going to run today. I can't do my diet right now. I'm going to start my diet today. This is impossible. I can't stick with it. I need to stick with this thing so we can get to the next level. The keto diet's too hard. Everybody has carbs around me. The keto diet is easy. I got to show people how this thing works. See how you just take a same idea and you frame it differently, The message is still the same, but the way you say it changes how it's perceived, not only for other people, but for yourself. Everything is easy. Nothing is hard. And I really do believe that. Because willpower is unbeatable if you truly believe it. I mean, look at some examples of guys like David Goggins, who I think his longest run is something like 112 miles in one sitting, which he's technically not sitting in all while doing that, but it's really inspirational. The only way you could run 112 or 114 miles or whatever it ended up being, the only way you could possibly do that is if you almost had like the irrational belief that you were going to succeed. And if you succeed, was the belief irrational? You can extrapolate that on any level you want for whatever it is that you're working on. Like, I know right now the influencer culture is all about hustle, hustle, hustle. Everybody can have a Porsche. Everybody can have a Lambo. But the thing is, it's actually true. Everybody has at least the potential to do it. The only difference is that very, very small amount of people, they just literally never give up. You can't lose if you never give up. It might take a long time to get where you're going, but if you stay with it, if you make it like your whole entire life, like I'm either going to succeed or die, then you got two options, man. You either keep grinding or you're finished. I mean, we don't got to take it that extreme, but well, I'm going to switch hands. My arms get a little numb. There we go. Mobile podcasting. Saw it here first. The microphone does get a little heavy after like 30 minutes, though. But it's true, man. You don't lose until you quit. And if you never quit, then you never lose. I mean, I'll give you guys another example. I'm a big hockey guy. A couple of years ago, I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago now, the St. Louis Blues were quite literally last place in the NHL in January. That's halfway through the season. These guys were the worst team in the league. I think this was like 2020 or maybe it was 2019. They ended up coming back so strong, they won the Stanley Cup. They won the Stanley Cup from being a team that was 32nd place in the league. Or I think at that time they didn't have Seattle yet, so I think it was 31st. And then maybe they had Vegas. But anyways, the point is, you don't lose if you don't give up. And that team did not give up. They ended up winning the whole thing. Stuff like that is super inspirational to me because it really just shows the value of positivity. If you have a positive mindset, it's so contagious. Not only do you start winning, but the people around you start winning too. And it, just like an infection spreads, positivity spreads. It's like wildfire. Like, positivity can quite literally save a nation. If you got someone that's charismatic enough, and then their charisma spreads into new leaders, and then they extrapolate it out further. And that's kind of how I even got started in this, because I was once, down in my dumps, gloomy as can be. And there's other YouTubers out there that have trailblazed what I'm doing right now. They're just so positive, I couldn't help but become one of them. So I'm passing the torch down to you guys. We're going to end up winning. If you're on that diet, you're going to succeed. You're going to stick to it. I know you are. I know you are better than you know that you are. But we're going to change that. I'm going to get you doing that positive self-talk. You start telling yourself that you're going to succeed no matter what. Sorry, I'm trying to be a little bit quiet because I'm like in the neighborhoods now. I don't know why I'm whispering. It's 12 noon on a Sunday, but just such a nice street. I don't live in this neighborhood, but I like to come to it. It's like the nicest neighborhood in the Detroit area, so it's like very scenic for me when I go on walks. But yeah, that's the gist of it, guys. That's what I wanted to cover off today, talk about positivity, getting those right thoughts going into your head. If you're just joining now, you should watch my 17-21 diet rule video. I released it yesterday. It really helps explain the 17-21 rule. It's not a diet itself, but it's more like a framework for success. Whatever diet you're on, you kind of plug it in. It's going to work for you. If you do intermittent fasting, gotta dodge these branches. If you do intermittent fasting, instead of doing 17-21, chop it down to 12-14. If you do one meal a day, well, I guess if you do one meal a day, it's almost like it doesn't really matter. You just eat whatever you want as your one meal. Personally, I quit intermittent fasting. I think it does lead to binge eating disorders. A lot of people that fast. Ooh, what do we got? We got Bailey. What your workout routine and meal prep? Great question. Okay, yeah, I actually really want to get into this because I love talking about bodybuilding. So I follow a 4-day split. I've been doing this 4-day split for about 2 years straight now. I don't want to say it's perfect, but it's, in my opinion, so good that I haven't found a better routine. So I do about 10 sets per workout. I don't go to the gym for, like 30 sets like I used to anymore. These are short sets, 10 sets per workout. Day one, I'm doing chest and triceps. So I usually start out with incline press, then I do chest flies. I might finish out with some dips. I might not, or no matter what I do, finish out with skull crushers. So we're looking at only like 6 to 10 sets, depending on how I'm feeling. Day two is going to be back and biceps. So I do chest to bar pull-ups with both grip styles. So pronated grip, that's like with your hand out like a high five. And then supinated grip, that's like your hand out like a middle finger. So I would do like 3 and 3 of those, and then some sort of horizontal row. It could be a barbell row. It could be a seated row. And then I'd finish out with bicep curls. Day 3 is going to be shoulders and triceps again. So I'm hitting all 3 heads of the shoulder. That's the anterior, lateral, and posterior. So front, middle, back. For front, I'm doing dumbbell press from a seated position. The less your core is engaged, actually, the better. The more weight you can move and the more you're isolating the shoulders. So I do most of my workouts seated if I can. Seated shoulder press, seated lateral raises, and then I go to the pec deck machine and I do reverse flies. I try to get really heavy on those. You'd be surprised how heavy you can go with reverse flies. Most people don't really go that heavy with them, but in some cases you can actually reverse fly more weight than you can, like chest fly. So give it a try, see how far you can take it. You might be surprised. I finish out with skull crushers again. I always try to do these with a straight bar if I can. So like I do a majority of my work with a barbell. But if your gym does have like those weight bars that start from like 10, go up to 100. I've seen some gyms have those. As long as the bar is straight, you're good. The reason you want the straight bar is that, I got a burp coming. The wrists supinate and pronate, right? So like supination would be like middle finger, pronation is a high 5. And if you move your wrist around, you can actually feel your bicep contracting when you supinate, and you can feel your triceps contracting when you pronate. So I don't really do a lot of work with a neutral grip because it doesn't really hit the triceps as hard as it could, and it doesn't hit the biceps as hard as it could. And that applies in both directions. So like skull crushers with a straight bar, bicep curls with a straight bar. If I'm doing cable work, I try to use the cable attachment that follows those same rules. Lastly, on legs, My leg day is way different than what most people are used to. I actually start out with hamstring curls. Then I go, what do we got? Supination is asking for soup. I like that. If you don't give me that soup, I'm gonna, give you the Irish hello. Leg day, I start out with hamstring curls. The big reason for this is that hamstring curls have no effect on your central nervous system, like your spine. So there's no spinal loading going on there. I'll cover that in a second. Hope you can't hear the airplane too much. Next thing I do leg extensions. Same reason as the hamstring curls. There's no effect on my central nervous system, so I can really fry out the legs with not a whole lot of systemic fatigue to my actual like spine or central nervous system. You can honestly treat the legs the same way you treat arm day. It's almost identical to doing bicep and tricep work. It's just with your legs instead of your arms. At the end, what I do is then I squat. So the third thing I do is squat, and I try to go as deep and as powerful as I can. Now my legs are already warmed up. There's two really nice things going on here. One, I'm already a little bit spent, so I'm not going to injure myself because I'm not going to go as heavy. So instead of doing like 3-plate squats or 4-plate squats, I'm squatting with 225. It's doing a lot less systemic damage to my spine. Because that's one thing, like no matter how strong your muscles get, your spine is still your spine. Having a ton of weight on your back is just going to like eventually over the span of decades, it's going to cause you a lot of problems. So I try not to squat more than like 285 these days. I don't really put 3 plates on the bar anymore. If you're doing really deep squats, like I hope no women are listening to this, but when you're squatting, man, you just want to have your berries hit the floor. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you got to have your shorts on, of course, but like just getting that mentality of like I gotta dunk my boys. Like, like imagine there's a cup of water underneath you and you gotta dunk your boys in the water. You know what I'm saying? That's how deep you should be going when you squat. So you don't need a lot of weight to do that. You can do that with like 185. You're gonna get way more out of that than doing like a 315 squat that only goes halfway. To cap out leg day, I do biceps again. So the pattern here is that day 1 and 3, I'm doing triceps. Day 2 and 4, I'm doing biceps because the arms can take a lot of abuse and they don't need much time to recover. I rotate this like clockwork. I don't really take a lot of rest days, like if ever, because my volume is low enough that I don't need them. So if I'm doing 10 sets or less, I'm never building up systemic fatigue. So I can recover my muscles just fine without having to recover like my central nervous system. I'm able to come back the next day, tip-top shape, ready to go. So I don't really take rest days. Unless like I got like a travel day or like sometimes you just don't have time and that's fine. But like I never take one because I feel like I need one. What do we got? Yes, dude. Squat like you were, dude, quite literally, man. Treat it like Halo. Like I'm squatting here, like I got my plasma sword or whatever, and I'm teabagging this dude. If there's ladies watching this, I'm sorry for the imagery, but it really does work. It's what you got to do. So that's my training. I always do weights in the morning. I do cardio at night. Some people like to do cardio in the morning and lift weights at night, but I just always feel stronger in the morning. And like cardio is cardio, so it's like you don't necessarily need to be at full power to, I'm trying to pick which direction to go. You don't really need to be at full power for cardio, in my opinion. You just have to be able to get through it. Like if I'm doing a 60-minute run, like does it really matter if I ran it at like a 10-minute pace or an 11-minute pace? Because when you're doing like cardio, it's just, unless if you're not racing, why be going all out on cardio? That's just all I'm saying. Meal prep wise, things are changing. So I was doing keto to cut weight, which is awesome. I really believe keto is the best way to cut weight. But right now I'm training for the Detroit Free Press Marathon. So that's October 19th. I've never done a marathon before, so I do have to get my body ready for it. And that means that I don't really care about losing weight at this time. So if my weight goes up during this prep, that's totally fine. And that might be weird to some people, like, how are you going to gain weight running? Well, I'm trying to get better at running, so I need to have the calories in order to do that. So I don't actually want to be in a calorie deficit until after the marathon's over. So I still eat mostly keto food, but then I eat a lot of fruit. Like, I can go through a watermelon in about 2 days. That's kind of actually my goal. So I slice up a watermelon. Half of it goes into one bag, the other half goes into another. And before I go to bed, I just try to make sure one of those bags is empty. Otherwise, I'm eating a lot of red meat, so like bacon, steak, salmon for fish. I'm just going through those like clockwork. I still try to avoid what I call dry carbs. So what are dry carbs? Oatmeal, granola, bagels, bread, crackers. I avoid all of those because, one, they're easy to eat, and two, they're very calorically dense. I like my carbs to be what I call wet carbs, so things like fruit and vegetables. Potatoes are actually wet, believe it or not. They hold a ton of water. So if you want, you can have a lot of potatoes, watermelon, berries, apples, bananas, all that kind of stuff if you're trying to be like an endurance athlete. And that's going to go a long way for you, keep you from like putting on new weight and like getting like fat necessarily. Again, not trying to lose weight right now, just trying to get stronger. But yeah, I'll be eating a ton of fruit, and then it's like red meat for everything else. And I also avoid liquid calories. So like, I'm not out there drinking like apple juice. And there's no orange juice in my diet. You know, I'm having water, black coffee. If I do have carbs in the drink, it's because I deliberately put them in there. So like, I know how to make my own like homemade Gatorade recipe. You basically just, if you want to know how to do that, I have a video, came out I think like a week ago, all about electrolyte management. So if you check that out, I teach you how to make your own electrolytes. All you have to do is add a little bit of table sugar to that formula. You've made your own homemade Gatorade. You can throw in some lemon juice, and it's like making lemon Gatorade. I'll do that for when I go on long distance runs. Otherwise, I'm drinking water, I'm drinking black coffee, sparkling water. I don't drink alcohol anymore, so if I go out on like a Saturday night, I'll have like a Heineken Zero, or I'll have like a bottle of San Pellegrino if they've got it. I prioritize the Pellegrino because it's got no calories, but some bars or dive bars, even dive bars these days are holding some kind of zero alcohol beer, whether it's Heineken Zeros or Budweiser Zeros. That's basically my current diet right now. It's basically keto with a giant amount of fruit involved. So like maybe like quadruple the amount of fruit that most keto dieters would be on. I'm getting like 200 or 300 grams of carbs per day. But it's all from wet carbs, no dry carbs, no bread. I stay away from rice because it's too easy to overeat on. Yeah, I think that's pretty much my diet. So at least for now. If you're trying to lose weight, that type of diet might not really work for you if you're like trying to actively go down in body composition. But if you're really active and you're working out, you can use the carbs. The carbs will actually enhance your workouts, enhance your recovery, and get you getting stronger. But if you don't use the carbs, they get turned into body fat. So you kind of have to be honest with yourself and say like, how much am I moving? If you're not moving that much, go into keto, because keto is perfect for people on a sedentary lifestyle. If you can't run a mile yet, I would say don't worry about cardio and just get on the diet first. Get on the keto diet. Once you've lost some weight, like Just gonna throw some numbers out there. If you're like 300 pounds, you should do zero cardio. No cardio at all, zero. Just get on the keto diet. Harder the keto, the better. You get those keto macros up to like 2 to 1. Get from like 300 pounds down to like 250. Then we can start talking about cardio. Maybe you want to do some bike. Maybe you want to do some elliptical. After that, we can start talking about putting some carbohydrates in your diet to make you better at the cardio. Once you're around 225, we can start to kind of like dabble with athleticism. So if that's your starting point, like some guys, don't have that much to lose. You could start out with like 100 to 150 grams of carbs per day. It would be totally fine for anyone trying to like get into like bodybuilding or trying to get into like distance running. Maybe you want to go for like 3-mile runs. You're not quite ready for the long distance stuff. 100 to 150 grams of carbs per day. It's going to be awesome. It's going to help you stay lean. You'll probably be in a calorie deficit. And it'll just all around be a good system for you. If you want to be like me and do crazy stuff and run marathons and whatnot, you're going to have to knock those carbs up. It's just a reality. Maybe there's somebody out there who's running marathons on keto. And like, good for them, happy for them. Everyone's allowed to do whatever they want. But like, you're doing the same thing everyone else is, but with extra steps. Like, I just don't see the value of spending a whole week to get into deep keto just to run a marathon when like the dude next to you just ate a sleeve of rice cakes and he's cooking. That's just my opinion. So it's like, have a diet for every situation. You want to like taper down. The heavier you are, the deeper the keto. The leaner you get, the more you want to introduce carbs. But as like a rule, just sort of try to stay away from the dry carbs, the rices, the breads, the crackers, etc. And that's going to do a lot to keep you lean. Beyond that, processed foods, it's kind of a buzzword right now. Some processed foods are obviously worse than others. The two key ingredients you want to look for on any given food label: high fructose corn syrup and some kind of oil. As long as the food you're eating doesn't have high fructose corn syrup or some kind of crap oil in it, it almost really doesn't matter what you eat. You can do whatever you want. If you do have either of those ingredients, it almost doesn't matter what you do, you're going to gain weight. These things didn't exist until like 50 years ago. So, if you want to look around and see the obesity epidemic going on in America and Europe, just look at the ingredients in a lot of the stuff that we eat. It's a lot of like soybean oil. It's a lot of high fructose corn syrup. You get those two things out of your diet, you're going to lose weight almost automatically. And that means no pop. Like, sorry, I'll never have another can of Coca-Cola ever again. Maybe I'll have a Diet Coke here and there, but I'll never have the normal one ever. 140 calories per can, you can forget about it. Same with Mountain Dew, Pepsi, root beer. They're all equally terrible for you. You get the liquid calories out of your diet, you get the dry carbs out of your diet, the soybean oil and the high fructose corn syrup, you get all those out. It almost really doesn't really matter what you do after that point. I truly believe that every diet can work. Keto can work, vegan can work, intermittent fasting can work, carnivore can work, paleo can work, the Greg Doucette diet can work, high volume diets can work, being locked in a jail cell and not being given food very often can work. You just need to get into a calorie deficit. And the only way to do that is to stop eating the modern food. So I'm not a diet cultist. I'm not out here like saying you got to be this way or that way. You just got to eat less and you got to stay away from the stuff that's poisoned in the first place. I believe that. So this has been good. We're coming close to the hour. I got 5 minutes left. If any of you guys that are still here, you got any questions, drop them down. I'll see if I got time for one or two more. Otherwise, I'll kind of start wrapping things up. If you were just joining me, you've never seen my channel before, thanks for watching. Come out with new videos basically 3 times a week now. Through the midweek, like anywhere between Tuesday and Thursday, I'll have a video coming out. These are short videos. They're punchy, to the point. There's not going to be a lot of scene changes. I'll cover a topic off, maybe like 6 to 8 minute videos. On Sundays, like I'm doing right now, I do a 1-hour live stream. I think I'm going to start streaming at 11 a.m. instead of 10 a.m. It just seems like there's more people online or available at 11 as opposed to 10. Who knows, maybe even noon is better. I'll play around with it, see what works best. And then beyond that, like my big videos, they always come out on Monday. So any given Monday, you can look for a big video. It's going to be stuff like me trying out new diets, me, going to Costco, reviewing food, a little bit bigger effort videos like that. Look forward to those. I always enjoy making them, but they do take a while. So that's why I'm making a little bit more faster videos on the side. Beyond that, if you're struggling with your diet, if you're looking for some extra help, I am available as a coach. You can get a hold of me through the link tree in my bio of my YouTube channel. I'll try to throw a link to that also in the description once I'm done streaming. You can also join my Discord group. I'll do the same thing, throw a link to that as well. If you want to get a hold of me, you can either private message me on Discord or just send me an email through my link tree. Either way is fine. Then we can kind of go over, what works for you. I got multiple different diets that I can coach. So whatever your preferences are, we can work with them. Can also do strength training coaching as well. So if that's something you're looking for, I can do that too. Beyond that, I want to thank you guys for watching. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure to like this and share it with a friend. If you thought this was a great podcast, go ahead, let the world know. Help me out, and I'll help you guys out. The goal here is to pump knowledge into your heads while you go out and do stuff. So whether you're driving to work, doing laundry, or mowing the lawn, whatever, just put me in your pocket and I'll keep pumping information into your head. Oh, what do we got here? I'll take your mom Instagram. Okay. My mom doesn't have an Instagram, so good luck. Anyways, guys, we're going to start wrapping this thing up. Thanks for joining. And I will see you tomorrow. Going to Costco. Hope you guys like it. We're getting some sausages. Good for deep keto. I'm going for those 2-to-1 macros. All right. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.